Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Women in Motorsports. My name is Joe Sandiego. With me, we have Ben Schneider from Grid Encore and LastCar.info. I want to talk about a bid. Calling the show, Mark, Robin, David, and Matthew for investing in the Grid Network. Each and every month, you too can invest in the Grid Network. Encourage everyone, if you want to do a one-time investment, buy me a coffee. You can support us that way. $10 more, you'll get stickers sent out to you. And of course, social media, we're at gridnetwork.tv. Plenty of ways you can find us on X, Instagram, Threads, and of course our website, gridnetworktv.com, where we have a lot of articles from IndyCar, NASCAR. Jackson and Matthew do some great work. Ben, this week I know, unfortunately, the big theme has been Hailie Deegan. Right before you went on the air on Monday, it was announced that Hailie Deegan and AM Racing, they were parting ways. Both sides issued a statement, and they appreciated each other and supported each other in their future. Since then, we haven't heard anything from either party, except when we know for AM Racing, Josh Berry will be in the car this weekend. Nothing from Hailie Deegan, but one of the lines that stuck out, Ben, it said from Hailie Deegan's statement, quote, "But sadly, our goals no longer align." What goals do you believe both sides had that prevented them from working together?
That's a great question. And I think another line from Deegan's statement was, "Only I know the full story." I'm paraphrasing there. I don't think that was it verbatim, but I'm sure there are details of this split that none of us that don't have that insider information, that weren't part of those meetings, are never going to know 100% of the details for. But I can imagine that the goal that they would have shared was to be competitive and continue to help Deegan in her development as a driver on the path, ideally, to a Cup Series ride one day. And unfortunately, as we've talked about on this show, we talked about it at length last week, the results simply weren't there. And, we can talk about, the team and driver, wanting to support one another's goals all we want. But at some point, if the results aren't there, it makes it very difficult to maintain that relationship into the future in the same way that they had intended at the start of a year. Ultimately, they decided to go in a different direction, and we saw it with Joey Logano on the street course. Joey Logano hadn't gotten into an Xfinity Series car in almost 5 years. He goes out in Chicago and gets the top 10, and Deegan only had 4 top 20s the entire first half of the year. I can understand where it got to the point where, the two parties had to go in different directions here. So it's unfortunate. I don't know exactly which goals the statement would have been referring to specifically, but it is clear that I think it was best for both sides at this point to go in a different direction and see what they can do in their futures on a different path.
I'd like to get your thoughts on this. One idea I was thinking of course, we don't know the full details, because part of the issue has been, we know with Hailie Deegan's result, the owner's points was becoming more critical, where the team just needed to go in a direction to just get themselves higher in the owner points, where with Hailie Deegan, they couldn't just afford to, okay, we're working with a rookie. They were just, we need to start putting some drivers that can get us those results. Do you think that could have been some of the misaligned goals?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know if that's referring to the goals specifically, but that's certainly one factor that I think led to, Logano for sure. And very probably this coming weekend as well, getting in the car, putting a Cup Series driver from Ford in the car to ensure that they weren't in danger of missing these races, or at least were in significantly less danger of missing these races. Because like I mentioned last week, it's not like they get a points bonus or they get locked in. If you put a Cup Series driver in the car, the points are still the same. So if Logano had gone out and crashed on his opening lap, or if he had lost the engine like Frankie Muniz did in Portland, obviously that, it doesn't matter who's in the car, your chances of making the race are going to be exponentially worse. But obviously you would expect that Logano in particular, a 2-time Cup Series champion, would be able to put down a lap solid enough to at least make the race and even run top 10 with it in terms of a race result. So yeah, I think that absolutely, is a factor when it came to that decision. And, Matt Weaver was saying the same thing. The team has to make sure that they maintain that position in the owner's points to the point where they're comfortable making these races. And Deegan simply, like I mentioned, the performance just wasn't there to put them in a position where they could feel comfortable with that.
Yeah, they were not in a good position. The Chicago street course, of course, the only street course in the Xfinity Series in NASCAR. It's just one of those deals where I felt they did what they had to do, and going forward, it's like, okay, we got to get those points. We can't focus on helping a rookie develop and go from there. Now, this happens across motorsports where we've seen a driver mid-season get replaced. I'll give two examples of sort of polar opposites of this situation as well. Over in IndyCar, McLaren, Theo Pourchaire replaced everyone. A lot of folks, especially ourselves, saying he didn't get enough time. But then you look on the other side of the spectrum, Formula One, Checo, Sergio Perez. Many are shocked he got a 2-year extension, and he seems to be dropping the ball ever since that announcement. Now, of course, we've seen how Red Bull, Pierre Gasly dropped, Alex Albon dropped. Some folks saying they had to be dropped, some folks saying they shouldn't be dropped. I wouldn't be surprised if Perez was dropped and somebody's going to say he needed more time. For Hailie Deegan, 17 races out of 33 for the Xfinity Series. Would we have wanted to see more time for Hailie, or was this just a matter of this is where we have to make that move?
I mean, I could see both sides of it, but the performance was so lacking, and the place in drivers' points and owners' points was so far behind where AM Racing wanted to be that I think there is a case to be made that maybe half of the season was enough time to kind of establish herself and see that it was very unlikely that things were going to get better, at least this year. Who knows if she had stayed on through 2025, I'm sure results would have improved marginally. But it simply hasn't been there this year. And I think, when you look back in hindsight, probably wasn't a good idea for her to make this jump in the first place, whether that would have meant another year in trucks or another year, back in ARCA, making that step down again, like we've been talking, maybe she should consider here. I don't know, but I think obviously this deal with AM Racing in the Xfinity Series, the level of competition in the Xfinity Series, and knowing that they have a technical alliance with Stewart-Haas now, knowing that for sure, I think we can look at these results and say it's pretty clear at this point that, she wasn't ready, and, it was probably a move made too soon to begin with.
Move made too soon. Dale Jr. was talking about that on his program, that it just seems like he seemed frustrated with the situation overall. And I can only imagine Hailie Deegan fans do feel very frustrated with this because, unfortunately, we do not have a full-time female driver in any of the 3 national series of NASCAR. Tony Berger, Jennifer Jo Cobb, they have done some truck races here and there. But once again, first time since 2011, no female racing full-time. Is this a setback for NASCAR's efforts in marketing that women can compete? And does this put additional pressure on the drivers coming up, especially in ARCA, like Tony Berger or Isabella Robusto?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly disappointing. But again, you bring up Robusto in particular, who we'll talk about it later in this show. Coming up here with her weekend at Irwindale. I think that there is hope on the horizon. If you want to see a female driver make it, certainly in the top 3 levels of NASCAR, but eventually the Cup Series even one day, I think Robusto is showing a lot of potential in ARCA right now. And even Tony Breininger, I think she still has a ways to go. But I think, like I've said on this program many times, I think she's made tremendous progress from where she was just a couple of years ago. So, it's not like we don't have female drivers in the development pipeline right now. I mean, who's to say Hailie Deegan doesn't go back down to ARCA, reinvent herself for a couple of years, and then maybe gets a second chance, and who knows what happens from there. So, is it disappointing? Of course it's disappointing. Is it a setback? I don't know, but I would go that far because I think we do have some hope on the horizon for female drivers, and we know that they can compete in this sport if given the right opportunity and given the right time to develop. And again, to bring up Robusto, I think that's why what she did last year, she was fighting back from the concussion injury, is very admirable. She didn't try to rush back. She made sure that she was taking her time in her recovery and really sacrificed the entire rest of her 2023 season to make sure she was 100% before coming back this year. And I think the results are showing that decision has paid off for her. So, again, we'll see what happens with Deegan. Of course, it's not fun or pleasant to talk about, but I think at the same time, you have to look at the positive aspect of it as well and see. But yeah, there are some talented female drivers, maybe some whose names we don't even know yet, that are just getting started in go-karts or Legends cars or whatever the case may be, that we may be talking about on this show 5 to 10 years from now in an even higher level position than Deegan's been at for the last several months here. So I look forward to that day, and I think that we shouldn't lose all hope here, because we have a lot of strong candidates in the development pipeline that can get there one day.
A lot of potential in the driver development program. We know NASCAR, the Drive for Diversity program, will still be going. Is it a setback? Yeah. Is it something where it's going to be a long-term negative for NASCAR? I don't believe so, because, as you said, Isabella Robusto, she's getting a lot of attention. She got back in from Yahoo. Tony Brediger showing improvement. Amber Balkan also was improving. We know the injury has seemed to derail her, but at one point she was having a good top 10 streak going and third in the points until everything has sort of fallen apart. So a lot of potentials. And well, let's go right into Isabella Robusto. She was at Irwindale Speedway, which hosted the ARCA Menards Series West, for a doubleheader. Isabella entered the weekend with a 3-race top 10 streak in ARCA West competition. Race 1 Thursday night, she was all over the back end of the leader and came home in second place. She was looking racy, potentially could have gotten the win. Race 2, she looked poised to get her first win, but unfortunately, tire issues put her into the wall bin. This led to a 17th place finish and left Robusto disappointed. She told me in Portland this was one of the tracks she was really looking forward to. How big of a setback is this for her? Or is this really a setback because she showed she could go out there and run very well and potentially win?
Yeah, I think this definitely isn't a setback. I think you have to look at how she ran and look at her pace. And, if things had gone slightly differently, maybe if she had managed her tires a little bit better, maybe she could have had something for her teammate Sean Higurani in the first race. Definitely had something for him in the second race, and looked like she was on pace to win it, like you mentioned, Joe. I think led close to 60 laps in the race, and under 30 laps to go. Looks like she was in prime position to take that win. Unfortunately, she had a tire issue, put her up in the wall, and that was the end of her race. But 17th place finish certainly doesn't tell the whole story or do her performance justice in terms of how many points she deserved from how she was running on Saturday night. So I think that if you're asking if it's a setback, I think you certainly can't look at it like that. You have to take away the positives in terms of how she ran, and I hope that she continues to get more opportunities and more starts this year, because I think, like I said, it looks like if she continues to perform at the level that she's at, and we expect her to only continue to get better the more laps she gets under her belt here. I think it might be a matter of when, not if, she breaks through and gets that first win for Venturini and ARCA.
Yeah, and thankfully the next time she's going to be on track is Elko Speedway, August 3rd for the ARCA Menards Series, the national one. This is a 0.375 mile paved oval, so another short track. Do you believe she's an early favorite, or does the fact that this is the main national ARCA Menards Series make a big difference in the competition?
Yeah, it makes a difference in the competition. Maybe not as big of a difference as it did 2 to 3 years ago. I mean, now you've got Venturini running these West Series races here. So I think, some of the national teams have come in and started running more of these West races, specifically the season finale at Phoenix. The season opener at Phoenix is now a combo race with the main tour anyway. So I think you get a good sense of that competition throughout the majority of the year regardless. And at the same time, Sunrise Ford is no longer around. Bill McAnally's team, Jack Wood had a good second place finish in race 2, but, it hasn't been the season that we're used to seeing out of that 16 car for sure as well. So I think that, the competition will certainly be elevated a little bit. You're going to have William Sawalich in the field in that Joe Gibbs number 18 Toyota, and, you certainly expect him to be difficult to beat. But I think at the same time, Sean Higurani is the defending West Series champion, and Robusto proved that she could hang with him in the doubleheader at Irwindale this past weekend. I think that if she, hits her marks and her team gives her a good setup, I see no reason why she couldn't take the fight to Swallow Elko as well. So we'll have to wait and see a few more weeks what happens here, but I think that she certainly could be a contender once again when we get out on that track.
It'll be interesting to see her on the track. Of course, August or Elko Speedway, and I know you're going to be recapping that race on Grid Encore. Let's talk about another race. This one under the Endurance Performance Index, the Iron Dames, and their huge accomplishment this year.
Yeah, Joe, I understand their first European Le Mans win this year. So certainly a big story indeed for the Iron Dames. 4 Hours of Imola, won by Sarah Bovy, Rahel Fry, and Michelle Gadding, driving the Porsche 911. Now, Bovy put the car on pole position, and it was about a month or two, Joe, we were talking about this year potentially being a disappointment, maybe not getting the results that the Iron Dames were hoping for. So how big is this win in terms of trying to prove to everyone that they can achieve those results?
I feel this win has to be a boost in confidence, in morale in that team, because all year long they have been fast, close to wins, bad luck, something out of their control. They don't get the results. I know they were just coming off having to withdraw over at Spa. They entered this race, and guess what? They showed they got the speed, they got the talent, they could go out there to win. It's no longer when will they win their first race? Why aren't they winning? They just won. Now they could go out there, get more race wins. This has to be a huge boost for all those drivers out there. And then for everyone that has been following them, this is just, I think more of that celebration that they got the win. They're back in it. Let's go get another one because there's still plenty more racing, and very excited to see what they could do again.
Yeah, and you mentioned it, Bovy was recovering from that injury, so that was a setback for the team. But their next race, bringing up Spa, it's back at Spa on August 25th in the European Le Mans Series. So how extra motivated do you think they're going to be entering Spa with a shot to maybe back up their victory once again?
They have to be super motivated. I mean, especially considering the disappointment of they had to pull out for this race to allow her to recover. I feel like they got to feel really good that that was the right decision. We focus on Monza. We got the win. We're coming back to Spa. We want to show how good we are at this track. They have been successful at this track. This has to feel really motivating for that team. Just go out there, do what you do. I almost feel like they may not even have pressure because they just have that adrenaline, that momentum of you just won, do everything, hit your marks. You're going to be in great shape. I don't see why they're not going to be a favorite to win. So I'm definitely going to be looking for them at that race. And I think they have to be feeling really good that they could go out there and get another win.
All right, we'll keep our eye on that in about a month and a half's time here. In the meantime, let's transition over to some IndyCar news, and we'll see Katherine Legge once again this upcoming weekend at Iowa. She'll be racing number 51 for Dale Coyne's team. This is her first start since the Indy 500, where her race was finished early due to an engine issue. Now we've got a doubleheader weekend coming up at Iowa Speedway. The last time Katherine Legge raced at Iowa was in 2012. It was a 15th place result for her over a decade ago now. So Joe, this is going to be her first time back of a track in a while, only her second and third starts of the year. We talked about her Indy 500 strategy. Obviously, that was cut short, but saying that, given the limitations of the Dale Coyne equipment, how they've been running this year, maybe it's just about trying to log laps and finish the race. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to do that at Indy. Do you think that that should simply be the goal at Iowa this weekend, or do you think she can push for even more?
Absolutely. The goal is just log the laps, finish the race. Because overall, with the Indy Oval race, we know there's some drivers that are going to be potential big favorites to go out there, get the win. Newgarden's on top of that list. You're looking at the Penske drivers. Dale Coyne Racing, not a lot of people are going to have that on their radar for going out there getting a win. If drivers have bad luck, mechanical issues, they crash out, if they could keep their race clean, they're going to be in a pretty good spot, I think. They might go a lap down. This is a smaller oval, but that's not a reason to be concerned, because as this race progresses, they could also get those notes for as they proceed on with the race. Despite the next race on Sunday being a daytime race, so it's going to be very different, much hotter, You don't have to grip level like you do in the evening when it's under the lights. For Katherine Legge to be on that car, log into laps, I think her Sunday race is going to go a little bit more smoother than her Saturday race. Just keeping it clean, hit all your marks when it comes to just racing your own race. You're not going out there to race against the other teams. You're just going to go out there, race the racetrack. You come home. I think she could be easily, if everything goes well, potentially a top 20 finish. It's just a matter of just keeping the car in one piece and bringing it home.
Well, Joe, let's talk about Jamie Chadwick as well. Obviously, she has had a solid Indy next season, got her first win, a couple of podiums in total with that third place run at the IMS Road Course as well. Motorsports.com revealed that maybe there have been some IndyCar conversations happening regarding Jamie Chadwick. Would you be concerned about her making that move in 2025? Do you want to see her wait until 26 and get another year of Indy Next under her belt first?
It's going to be really interesting because we do have Indy Next running at the Iowa Speedway. So again, that's more oval experience for her. Now, we talked about this after Road America. What if she was to go up to IndyCar? What if she only did Indy 500? And we were all under the impression, well, maybe focus on Indy Next. Considering this is the week where we've had the news story of Hailie Deegan, people talking about, was she rushed up? I got to be honest, man. I feel like I'm almost asking those questions too. Is this being rushed up? We know there's potential of sponsorships will love to go sponsor her. They will love to see her at the Indianapolis 500. But are they willing to commit that? Okay, she's going to be a rookie. It may not exactly be the smoothest rookie year, but you're going to allow her that time to develop and then come back again the following year, for sure. No one and done season. Okay, that will be a good fit. I'm hopeful Jamie is just looking at this big picture because at the end of the day, she's gained those oval experience. I got the idea maybe she's starting to think, I want to be in the Indianapolis 500. That's great. Just, we got to be careful because we've seen how Andretti Autosport this year, they're improving, but they're still not exactly up there with the Penske's. They're not up there with Chip Ganassi. If they have Jamie Chadwick in another car, could that be spreading the team a little too much? A lot of questions at the end of the day, Ben. I'm mixed on this because I want to see Jamie do well. I personally, if I was her, I would want to do another season Indy Next because she got that win already. She knows she could come back and start winning more, and then people could talk about it. But it's just, I'm on the fence.
Well, I think it would certainly be best for her to do another season of Indy Next. And we'll see how this final stretch of races goes here. We have, very oval heavy back end of the season here. So I think that's obviously where she needs the most experience and needs to log the most laps to try to improve based on her performance last year. We know she's taken a massive step forward on the road and street courses, obviously, with these cars. If she can do the same with the ovals and then build on that next season, maybe make a championship run, then I think I would be much more comfortable talking about IndyCar in 2026 than I would be with the status quo right now. So we'll just have to wait and see. Again, these things are very money and sponsorship driven. Maybe she'll be presented with an offer she can't refuse and might make that jump a little bit prematurely as a result. But, who knows what's going to happen. We won't know until she gets out on track and performs to the level of whatever she'll perform at. So we'll keep our eye on that. Of course, Saturday on Grid Live pre-race, you'll be previewing IndyCar at Iowa, and then we'll have NASCAR Cup Series preview as well, and then wrap up an encore to follow later this weekend. So be sure to subscribe to the Grid Network so that you don't miss any of that. And Joe, I'll hand it over to you for some final thoughts as well.
Yeah, definitely. We're very excited for the weekend. IndyCar doubleheader, NASCAR Cup Series at Pocono. Be sure to subscribe to us right here on the Grid Network. Hit the bell icon so you don't miss any of our programs. And one of the big things, visit our website, gridnetworktv.com. Visit our articles, see our team bios. Encourage everyone to check it out. And of course, a big thank you to our Patreon investors calling the show, Mark, Robin, David, Matthew, for investing in the Grid Network. We really appreciate it. And one of the big things, if you want to do a one-time investment, buy me a coffee, YouTube super chat. We'll thank you on the air if we catch it. If we don't, we will the next time we go on the air. For Ben Schneider, I'm Joe San Diego. Thank you for watching today's program. We'll see you next time and enjoy the races. All right, that went really good. Thank you so much.